The God Avatar, Part 4, the final part. This will be the last part in the God Avatar miniseries. But first, some words of advice for you listeners or viewers. Before ending this video, I would like to talk about two individuals real shortly here, Immune to Crap 2 and Alex Kidd. Both very intelligent individuals I've found by conversing with them. And on my video, Batman Begins Traditional Themes, the review I did on that movie, they've commented, and I can't agree more with their comments, but I thought I would post it here. The reason why we are talking about individualistic heroes and archetypes such as Batman or V for Vendetta and so on is because it's very easy to interpret Kalki as lone rangers, as vigilantes, and so forth. Alex Kidd says that the thing that disturbs him about Batman, etc., is that they are lone rangers. Although Bruce Wayne adopts some traditionalist sensibilities in his training, they are nothing more than superficial aesthetics. As Batman, he remains a staunch individualist. He has the money to raise an entire army, but instead opts to be his own one-man army. It is an individualistic fantasy mirrored by the deranged villain character that forced Batman to confront his own inner demons. Very observant comment, and Immune to Crap, he posted several comments essentially saying the same thing, that to become an ideal means to directly identify oneself with the unit, the tribe, and its strive for improvement. In that case, there is no distinction between common interest and personal interest. Any success or failure of the tribe is regarded as personal success or failure, and the other way around. Such tribal societies offer the individual a promise of greater fulfillment, one that goes beyond the personal context and that is not limited in space and time. However, it also burdens the individual with great responsibility, because the tribal ideal stretches beyond the personal context serving it requires that also oneself strives to transcend beyond the barriers of one's physicality. Specifically, it means that one learns to control the strictly personal impulses, that is, becomes disciplined. Ancient Sparta, and to a lesser extent the Third Reich, were progress-based societies, as is the League of Shadows in the movie. From an evolutionary standpoint, such tribal societies are likely to survive. Batman, on the other hand, represents the typical thinking of today, where everyone is expected to be viewed as an individual. To classify a person as belonging to some group based on certain common characteristics is considered morally rejectable. In such model, the individual lacks any sense of being part of something greater than himself, of belonging to a community. On one hand, this means a greater freedom, as you're free of any expectations and responsibilities. Discipline is no longer necessary, unless I choose so myself. That lack of any sense of responsibility is to be accounted for the popularity of hedonism. The lack of community sense will also lead to a growing indifference regarding other people. Just as the others are free-floating individuals with whom I have no particular ties. Finally, the lack of sense of connection, of being a part of something greater than yourself, will often lead to loneliness and eventually depression, as one is not provided with any sense of existence. All of the above is typical of today's society, the one Batman is fighting for. In reality, however, not many would feel compelled to fight for a society with which one feels no clear connection to, and which expresses no values one can identify with. Not more than an empty formal construction regulating interpersonal relations. That's also the main reason why many Europeans don't feel compelled to oppose multiculturalism. They've been taught that they're just an individual, and that feeling connected to fellow Europeans is evil. That only proper sense connection is to all people. Luckily, the majority of European men has not really internalized these dogmas, but obeys them because of fear. We also conversed in personal messages, and he sent me a message, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to post it, but reading this comment, I don't think there's anything threatening really. What he says is that he sent me a video, and I cannot say what video it is, but this video is a perfect illustration of what it was meant in Batman, or at least his interpretation of it, when they said that you can kill a human, but not an ideal symbol, and that is, he must become an ideal. That's how this person in the video felt. He knew he was going to prison and would probably die there, but that didn't really matter to him. His ideals were so much beyond the personal, physical level that he probably didn't even consider his own death, in the traditional sense of the word, as dying. Conclusion: immune to crap, prefer Liam Neeson's character, and I would say I have to agree. The reason why we are talking about individualistic heroes and archetypes such as Batman or V for Vendetta and so on is because it's very easy to interpret Kalki or Loki and these archetypes as lone rangers, as vigilantes and so forth, when in fact they're more idealistic. They are actually doing it for people or for a higher ideal, and that is why I'm doing this contrast. Now, there is a movie I would recommend you to see. It is The Shadow. A very short introduction to it. It's pretty similar to Batman Begins in storyline. The difference being that the Shadow, played by Alec Baldwin, he acts like Batman and is on his own, but he does recruit the people he saves to his own League of Shadows. He actually has a group that works in the shadows and help the character, which is actually called The Shadow. In other words, he is part Batman and part Ra's al Ghul with his own League of Shadows. I think this is something we must incorporate in the Kalki archetype. This is not a Batman archetype, it's an archetype that works for something greater than him. It's not an egoistic ideal. Now, according to Vedic and Sumerian scriptures, as well as Nostradamus' predictions, which I've chosen to leave out, we're at the end of an era known in Vedic scriptures as the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age. The age that comes after Ragnarök, after Kali Yuga, is the Aquarian Age, the Golden Age, the Satya Yuga, or the New Age. In this Kali Yuga, we endure complete separation of the Godhead in the age where the frequency is the lowest and thus hinder God from intervening personally. He can only intervene through incarnations, through being born on the earth, and that way enlighten the masses of the laws of cosmos, the laws of nature. So the coming God avatar is Vishnu in human form. It is also prophesied in Vedic scriptures that this so-called Messiah will be the destroyer of the old, meaning the current order here on earth. He is the most aggressive, destructive form of God incarnations that has ever existed since the previous end of the last Kali Yuga. Also, according to the Sumerian prophecy and the prophecy of the Sahaya, he will essentially be invisible, the destroyer of the Kali Yuga, and the one who introduced the world to the new coming Golden Age. I will be reading you a Sumerian prophecy here. From the high north, the third Sargon will come. Unsuspectingly he will break through onto the earth that lives in poison. With one blow everything will quiver, and his might will be insurmountable. He will ask no one, he will know all. A group of righteous ones will be near him. The third sergeant will give them his light, and they will shine in the world. Once the third sergeant has come and fought all the battles, his followers will have been his swords victorious against the multitudes. Then he, the Avenger, will have thundered on his fiery chariot across the circle of the world, hurling thunderbolts against the forces of darkness until they have been all eradicated. And the hour of light will return unto the earth. Lonely are the brave and the just, but God is with them. Do not believe in these prophecies. It usually leads to a passive mindset, and that is not something that I would recommend you to possess in this time. Instead, make them come true. Let your actions be the predictor of your future. Me and a YouTube user that goes by the name of Alex Kidd on YouTube, which I recommend you to look him up, we conversed and we had a short discussion about it. And it's a lazy mentality to sit back, relax, and assume someone else is going to do the dirty work for you. That someone is going to rise up so that you can simply follow and ride on the energy waves. Assume that you are all alone. Assume that if not you, then no one. That is the mentality we all must possess, regardless if we think we have found the caste for us, the archetype for us. If we don't, it's easy to pass on the responsibility to others. If everyone does this, then we fall. There's also the problem of many different possible leaders who not all appeal to all. There won't be one leader for all of us on the earth. There will be local, national, and ideological leaders. Ensure that you have one, and if this leader hasn't done anything, that you are ready to become one. And if you don't make it, perhaps you at least inspired someone else. Who knows, perhaps you are Kalki the Avenger. You doubt it now, and that's good. Humility is good in a leader, as is ruthlessness. A leader ought to know to whom and when to exercise what. Think highly of yourself, but I can't stress this enough. This YouTube is just YouTube. The sooner all of us learns this, the sooner we can start to test ourselves in the real world. Now, I do not consider myself a leader. I rather work behind a leader in the shadows. I'm a thinker, I'm an advisor. But whoever this person is, he must be tested in the real world. This YouTube, this internet, it's Matrix almost literally. Now, again, assume that no one is coming for your rescue. Has that as your initial starting point. Put your mindset there. You'll grow much quicker. You'll learn much faster. You'll have to learn faster if your convictions are strong enough and your care deep enough. So think, if not me, then no one. Even if you know that it might not be true and that there are capable persons out there, assume there isn't. Auto-suggest this. Think different, because it will help your unconscious to reach higher level of information much more efficiently. With this, I'll end this series, which has dealt with the common god Avatar. Again, do not believe in these prophecies. Do not be passive. Live your life as if you are writing your own fate, as if you can change your stars. Live the legend. Be active. Nothing in life is easy. How much are you worth? Never allow yourself to be satisfied. Strive to do better. Be better. Deserve more. Strive towards becoming who you know you can be, not who you currently are. Live the legend, and who knows? Perhaps it is you who are the Avatar. If not me, then no one. And can you live with that?